Welcome to Pachehra Talks. My name is Arun, and today we are going to talk about practice questions. Yes, I have got some practice questions that I would like to share or discuss rather in our AZ-305 series because it's almost completed. But I'm also planning to add a couple of question videos and then CAF, WAF, well-architected framework, and of course, scenarios from my own experience as an architect. So, but from your certification point of view, it's almost completed. But to be an architect in the real world, you should have all that information that will keep on adding on this playlist. So let's start with first question, which says your company, let me get the laser point. Your company has the following Azure web apps defined as part of their Azure subscription. They are like three names of the web apps in different region in the same resource group. So the same application is deployed across all the Azure web apps. Okay, you have to design a solution which would allow user requests to be load balanced across all the Azure web apps. It must also support rate limiting when it comes to the request. Users must be able to access the application even if an Azure region is not available. If we see this question, we're totally talking about from the certification questionnaire point of view right now. Okay, so as per the question, we can see it is in a multiple region, the web app deployed in a multiple region. And it says if an Azure region is not available, user can still be able to access the application. Means it is load balancing on the region level. If one of the region is down, application is still up, user can access from the another region. So who can do that? Well, of course, not the load balancer, not the application gateway. Front door and traffic manager, these two can load balance the traffic or rather route the traffic to different regions. However, there is one more condition which says also support rate limiting. So Azure front door is your answer. Another question, your company needs to move a web application from their on-premises infrastructure to Azure. Okay. The web application is dependent on a legacy component that needs to be installed along with the web application. All right. The application must be available even if an Azure data center becomes unavailable. Cost must be minimized. Okay. Which of the following would you use to host the underlying application and components? So here, if we go, we have option like VMS, Azure Function, Logic Apps, and Web Apps. But since there is a dependency on a component that needs to be installed along with the web application, then of course we need to have control over underlying compute instances. And REST 3 are PaaS services, so VMSS for sure is the right answer. Moreover, we can have VMSs deployed in a different availability zone. So it will help us to, if one of the data center goes down, our VMs or app will still be available. And this will help us to minimize the cost as well, because as per load increases, VM instances keep on adding horizontal scaling. Let's assume that. Okay. So that's the correct answer. Now, your company needs to move a web app from their own. It's almost the same question as per the previous one. Which of the following you can use to load balancing solution for this requirement? Now here we have to choose the load balancing option. You have all the load balancers provided by Azure here. But here we see we are looking for the availability inside the data center, like two zones. We just need to ensure that the application remains available in the event of Azure data center is not available. So we can assume our VMSs in these zones, multiple zones. So we do not need a load balancer which will load balance between the regions, but inside the region. So of course, our answer could be load balancer or application gateway. Now we can think it with security perspective, because app gateway also provides us the WAF. So we can choose this one, but it says cost must be minimized. So we can think a load balancer as well. Sometimes we do face this kind of dilemma during the Microsoft certification exams. I've seen that. So if you assume cost, then load balancer is the right answer. If you assume security, then app gateway is the right answer. But here we will choose load balancer, because for app gateway, it is a smart load balancer. It has many other features like URL or session cookie or HTTPS or what we say WAF. So nothing is mentioned like this, so we can go with the load balancer. Your company needs to move. It's again the same scenario, but here, how would you deploy your solution? Now, if you see, we have already answered this question when we were trying to understand this question, because it's the data center. Then of course, we don't need two regions. It's inside the region. Across two AV zones could be the right answer, because AV set will not give you the redundancy outside the data center. It doesn't matter, Azure will take care. No, we have studied or went through a lot of shared security model, shared responsibility model. So it's one of that. So don't assume Azure will take care of things. You have to plan for it. You are the architect, okay? Your company is planning on setting up several Azure SQL databases. They want to save on cost by purchasing Azure reservations for Azure SQL database. Which of the following model must be set up for the Azure SQL database for this requirement? If you go through this question, the thing that came into my mind, there are like two types of model, DTU and vCore. So, but the option is four. So of course, two are the fake options, like DWU is data warehouse unit, nothing to do with the Azure SQL. SU is streaming unit, nothing to do with this. So we got like 50-50. All right, DTU is the legacy model, vCore is the new model. So if you don't know, we'll go with the vCore because it's a new model, but I know it is with the vCore, so vCore is the right answer. If you do not know in the exam, always go with the new services or new models. vCore is the right answer for now. Your company needs to have a data store on Azure for their application. The data store needs to support the following requirements: be able to store at least 2 TB of data, be able to support reads and writes from multiple locations, then also support different consistency level. Well, here goes the answer. There is only one database which supports different consistency levels. And if you're with me, then of course you also know the answer. Which of the following would you recommend this requirement? Well, for multiple locations, read and write and consistency, these two features are only with the Cosmos DB. So of course we will select Cosmos DB, and yes, that is the correct answer. Now, your team needs to decide on the usage of storage solution on Azure. The storage solution must meet the following requirement. Data can be stored for a period of 3 years, cannot be modified over a period of 3 years. Read latency to the data is the least possible. Maximum resiliency when it comes to the data. Maximum resiliency, okay. Which of the following would you choose for replication the storage account? Okay. So this question is more focused on the fourth part, and replication, of course, geo redundancy give the maximum resiliency. So we'll choose GRS. Your company has set up a Azure subscription, Azure tenant. They want to monitor all the sign-in events generated in Azure Active Directory. They then want to set up alerts in Azure Monitor. based on the sign-in events. Which of the following would you use to store the sign-in event data? Well, whenever it's monitor and get the insights, we always send the data to log analytics workspace. So that's the correct answer. Now, your team is planning on hosting data in Azure SQL DB. Which of the following can be used to improve the performance of the database with the least amount of administrative effort? Well, before we go and answer this question, I would like to highlight this. When we appear for the certification exam through Preview, Persian View, the question paper sometimes, like always like this, as per my experience, I have given more than like 30 examinations, but it is always like this. The one example I gave you at the beginning, the another one is this. You go with the question, there is a one trigger that will give you that will reveal the answer itself. For example, if you talk about this, it's asking to improve the performance, but the key point is not improving the performance. Key point is least amount of administrative effort, right? So that is automatic tuning. Similarly, if you see this question, this one, GRS, they gave so many things, but the maximum resiliency is the trigger right there. Okay. So this is the last question. It says your company is planning to deploy a container-based application to an Azure Kubernetes cluster. The container-based application would be deployed on Linux-based nodes in the cluster. You need to ensure that the scale-out operations on the cluster takes the least amount of time. Again, key point. And administrative effort is reducing during the scale-out operations. So basically, they're looking for the automation, which already provided by the AKS. You need to opt for it. Which of the following can you choose for this requirement? Well, even if you don't know anything, and you know these things, less administrative effort is always related to the automation. Least amount of time is always related to the automation. So cluster autoscaler is your right answer. Kubernetes is for networking, CNI is for networking, HTTP proxy has nothing to do with the autoscaling. With this, let's close this video. And I had to add some questions to get the feel till now what we have read or studied on this channel. Well, thank you for watching, and let's meet in another video. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.